Well, it was a Hail Mary. I threw down $900 on a WordPress blog to go from print to digital.
Uh-huh.
And, yeah. And within 6 months, we were listed among the top 50 business and finance websites in Australia, beating
Wow.
major newspapers.
What's happening, everybody? Arne Giske here, and we've got another episode of the Community and Conversions Show, bringing you some incredible leaders with incredible milestones and stories and things for you to go and take action on today. So this is going to be a really fun one. Part of it, the topics will be around Clubhouse. Part of it will be around, really building a movement, and especially in the B2B space. So if you work with businesses, definitely don't miss this one. Because today we got Mr. James Tuckerman, and he is the founder of B2B School, co-creator of B2B-.io, and he has been able to serve over 1.2 million B2B business owners. And that's a whole lot of people. That's a whole lot of impact. One of his cool claim to fame was he actually launched the first entrepreneurship magazine down in Australia, kind of like Fast Company. So this guy's been on the move for a long time, created a lot of amazing things. And today we're going to be talking about, some of those things, but also how you can be building your tribe and getting more B2B clients using Clubhouse. So welcome to the show, man. Super excited to have you on.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me. This is my first live call interview on Facebook. How crazy is that? I mean, it's been years since everybody's been doing this.
Yep.
And this is the first time I've done it. So I'm looking in two directions at the same time, making sure everything's okay. And indeed, I'm going to share it. But thank you, Arne, for having me.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be an interesting one. And for everybody else out there watching right now or on the replay, just let me know down in the chat. Are you using Clubhouse right now? Yes or no? Because I don't know about you guys, but I got really into it when it started, and then it kind of sizzled out for me. But I didn't really go and put the full effort into really lean in and make the most out of it. So I know some of what you're going to be sharing today is how to do that, how to make the most out of it, how to actually have it, add to your business and not just be like this massive time suck of where did my 6 hours go, So do you want to give everybody a little bit more background, besides what I shared so far, if they don't know you yet, what you got going on? What are you all about?
Yeah, well, today we're talking about Clubhouse, and that's not really my area of expertise. It's just something that's so hot right now, and and also and also it seems to be an area that a lot of people in the B2B space are asking me a lot about. So I know that there are people out there doing courses on Clubhouse. I know that there are people getting really drilled down into it, but what I've discovered, and this is going back 7 years, is that every time there's a new social media platform, everybody gets really excited and they dive in, get elbows deep, and then suddenly take a step back and go, oh my God, where did the last 3 months of my life go? And what outcomes did I get? So we have a formula that I'll run through, and we apply it to every social media platform. So even if you're not on Clubhouse, you'll go, that's a good formula. I mean, when Twitter took off, this was the formula that we used. When Facebook was next, I think around the same time, this is what we used. We still teach this strategy in relation to LinkedIn. Our clients get amazing, powerful results. But my background, as Arne said, is a magazine publisher. So 15, 18 years ago, I was a 20-something, and I launched Australia's first national entrepreneurship, startup, innovation type magazine. Kind of a combination of Fast Company and Wired. I did that with personal credit cards and savings, and grew it into a market leader. It was available everywhere in the world, in Borders, in Barnes and Noble, in all the airports. And in Australia, it was a top 3 business magazine. I was named Best Small Publisher in Australia twice in my 20s, which was a thrill. And then, of course, when the when the GFC came, that was the beginning of the end for print magazines as we currently know it. I'm not going to say that print magazines don't still exist, and I don't still love them. But when you have Steve Jobs inventing the iPad, Google suddenly saying, "Hey, you can actually measure your advertising these days. You can count how many clicks you get, which you can't with a print magazine." And then you add the GFC when everybody pulled back on their media spend. and it was a disaster. It was the perfect storm. And we went from being a print magazine to being, well, it was a Hail Mary. I threw down $900 on a WordPress blog to go from print to digital. And, yeah. And within 6 months, we were listed among the top 50 business and finance websites in Australia, beating major newspapers. And yeah, I mean, like, Australia's not a huge country, but we have more media per capita than any other place in the world. So the media is furiously competitive. It's where Rupert Murdoch came from. It's furiously competitive. And everybody then said, well, how did you do it? How did you take this $900 blog and you're beating the business section of major newspapers? So I don't know where you are. I'm speaking to everyone out there in the world right now, but think about the largest newspapers in your state. Yeah, it was my $900 blog was beating them. So based on traffic alone. So that became the beginning of a training journey. And that led to a wild business called the Not So Freaky University, where we take the freaky bits in business and we unfreakify them. And then that evolved into the B2B school. And now we're very focused on businesses that want to work with other businesses. And we largely focus on sales and marketing, which brings us full circle back to this wild tool called Clubhouse.
Yeah, I think the coolest part about all that is like how you said, this strategy, you guys do it on LinkedIn, you guys do it in these different places, you did it and your WordPress site, all this stuff. It doesn't matter the platform so much as applying it. And that's the coolest thing about when you have those skills, that experience like you do across everything from magazines to websites to all this other stuff. They could launch some crazy new platform tomorrow and you'd be like, hey, let's go roll out with the strategy and make some stuff happen. So let's dive into that a little bit. So I love the versatility of it. And I want to hear kind of two big things is, number one, what works regardless of platform? And number two, what's Clubhouse specific on there?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So our framework is really simple and I call it granny proof, which means that I can explain it to my mum and she understands it because I have kids. So by definition, she's a granny, right? So if I can explain it to her, that's cool. And it's really 3 simple words. And if anyone wants to write this down, that they can. It starts off very simple. And then of course you go granular. The 3 words are build, manage, monetize. Now, build is really obvious. You've got to build the following. And a lot of people never get past this stage. They jump on a new platform and it's all about, I got to get the followers. I got to get the connections. I got to get the fans. I got to get the engagement. And that's really important. But what's your end goal? That's if you're going to build, you need to know where you're going with this. Otherwise it ends up being a vanity metric. I've got this many followers and blah, blah, blah. I mean, until about a month ago, I had an Instagram account that I think had about, I don't know, I don't even use Instagram. There's like 15 to 20,000 followers on Instagram. Mm-hmm. And that was because in the early days of Instagram, I jumped on it. I built it up. But at that time, I had no clue about how to actually monetize it or manage my time on there. So it was a huge waste of time. Now it's becoming more important because it seems to be fairly, Instagram and Clubhouse are fairly closely aligned. So build and, set yourself some goals. That's all really important. But the first stage is usually build, and I'll get a bit more granular if you want. The second one is manage. And Arne talked about this, how everyone's jumping on Clubhouse and other tools and they go, they dive deep in and then they take a step back and they go, wow, well, that was a month I'll never get back. And Clubhouse is super addictive. I've caught up with people that have been on it almost nonstop for a week when they join on. And I found it really addictive too. I mean, my wife, Catherine, she's banned me from using it in the house. I'm not allowed to use it in the house.
Yeah, so, I hear you. It's like that FOMO factor of like, oh, this is a really good conversation. It's not recorded. Oh, one of my idols is speaking right now, blah, blah, blah. Elon Musk even did a Clubhouse. How cool is that?
And so I'll go out to the front. And I remember also the first time as well, too, it was about 11 o'clock at night. And I just had my headphones on and I was listening on the couch. And I was multitasking. I was watching television. I had Clubhouse on my phone. I was probably browsing on my iPad or something. And I pressed a button and suddenly I was invited onto this stage. And it was at 11 o'clock at night, 11:30 at home. And then suddenly there was like, oh, James. And it was someone who recognized me, someone from, Australia that may have been a buyer of the magazine, or maybe it's one of our B2B clients now. And they recognized me and they went, oh, it's James Tuckerman. And he's got all these important, powerful things to say. And I'm on the couch like this, like a glass of, whatever in this hand, and I'm eating cookies in this hand. And then suddenly I had to go from 11:30 at night mode to, well, hello, everybody. I went straight into presenter mode and woke up my entire house. And I haven't been allowed to use it in my house ever since. But there's the manage bit. So we need to be sure that we're not getting, we're not getting obsessively crazy over it. And we're doing it in smart ways, like all other areas of our business. Like email. For me, I check email twice a day. I check email at about 11:30 and I check email at about 4:30. But I don't check email all day. That would be insane. I know that some people do, but I don't. I've got 2 windows for it. Build, manage, and the last bit is monetize. And this is really, really important, because if you're going to do anything in business, you got to make sure you know what your end goal is. Why is it that you're doing it? And I know there are people there going, oh, this is big, this is hot, so I just better get across it. But straight from the beginning, you've got to be able to say, am I going to get a return on investment? If I'm going to allocate this much time and this much bandwidth, am I going to get my ROI? And in our world, we got ROI pretty quickly. And
what do you think helped make that happen?
Pardon?
What do you think helped make that happen, that you were able to kind of jump on and immediately get some results?
Yeah. Okay. Well, one of the first things is know your target audience. So I can do. Where will I start? I can go build, manage, monetize. I'll drop one piece in about monetize, and then I'll just quickly go back to the beginning and add some more. One of the most important things for us was just knowing that our target audience was on it. So in the beginning, I wasn't sure about that. I jumped on, and my first expo, couple times using Clubhouse, I was like, it's just a place of blowhards talking about nothing. And it just happened that I just happened to be in some fairly wonky rooms. Then, as you said, Arne, you start to notice that there's some really, big brains in there as well too. Then who you want to listen to. But in our world, B2B school, we're targeting business owners that target other business owners. And that usually means that that type of business owner has a level of knowledge, has a level of expertise, and they're often quite keen to share that. They're also prolific learners. So they're not, say, for example, a retail business that's standing behind the counter all day. So they do have capacity to use a tool like Clubhouse. They are often consultants and coaches and even tacticians, like a web developer, who trade in knowledge and experience and expertise. So that was the most important thing straight away, is my audience on it. And then once I was pretty quickly able to realize my audience was on it, then it was, okay, well, let's invest some proper time and effort. But the big turning point for me and our crew, and I'll explain how we did this, is that me and my business partner, John Inglesos, we did a Clubhouse room, and there was only, I think, 18 people in the entire room. So it wasn't like this huge one that runs for days and has thousands of people. It was 18 people in a room. And that one room generated 7 leads. 4 people booked a strategy call with John, and one of them became a $4,800 client. And that's up front. So then there's the lifetime value of the client as well too. But that there was, okay, if that's 18 people, my brain goes, okay, what if it was 180 people?
Yep.
What if it was 1,800 people? What if we could do this in a regular way and get an outcome? So build, are you using it all Arne, or you had to go?
Not,
and then you
not right now. It's like in my back pocket, like, all right, if I really want to try and add in another strategy, I'll go run some rooms.
Yeah. Well, that's another really important thing. We can only do so many things at any given time. And people say, oh, with social media, can you show me how to use Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Clubhouse, Pinterest? And I'm like, say, no, why don't you just focus on the one that's most important to you? And I'm sure I have a guide for Clubhouse, but half the time people say, can I get your guide for Clubhouse? And I say, sure. Can I give you my guide for LinkedIn as well? Because because I know that that's probably where they're going to get the better result.
And that's the funny thing too, because the end of the day, they don't care what it is. If you can show them how to do direct mail postcards and get results, they're all right. Sign me up for some postcards. Let's roll.
Yeah, biggest result in the least amount of time. The 80-20 rule, which is one of our philosophies at the B2B school. It's get you the result with the least amount of moving parts, like build, manage, monetize. Three things. So build, when it comes to Clubhouse, it really just comes down to connecting with other people, joining clubs, doing all those regular things and participating. There aren't a whole lot of apps right now, and the other ones you used to be able to say, oh, I'm going to set this up. So Twitter, you could say, this Arne guy's really interesting. This Arne Giske guy's really interesting. I'm going to follow all his followers, and you'd use some third-party tool and it would follow all his followers. There's none of that available. So in terms of the build, you do need to commit to it a little bit. I will offer a little fun hack, interesting fun hack. There's always fun hacks. I mean, like, make sure your profile looks good and load your profile up with keywords. So if you're a podcast coach and people are typing in podcasts because they're interested in podcasts, your name will come up. So my business partner, his name is John Inglesos, but his Clubhouse handle is @B2B.
Nice.
Anytime anyone types in B2B, he comes up top. So having your profile geared towards your target audience, back to that idea. The other thing is that you can now start a club really quickly. It was quite difficult for a while to start a club. And in the resource that we share and provide, it talks about how hard it is to start a club. We haven't updated it. Now it's really easy to start your own Clubhouse club. You just apply for it. Once again, keywords are really vital. But here's another little funny little hack. I'm gonna provide two hacks for the people out there who are using Clubhouse in a deep way. Number one, your clubs rank based on followers, not members. Now, people who are using Clubhouse are going, really? Which means that if you don't admit many people to your club, they all become followers and you rank higher. There you go. Most people are like trying to get as many members to their club as possible. Get the followers up.
What's the difference between a follower and a member?
Well, a member's just, I don't know, like a member's just a member of the club and they can run rooms within the club. So I've got the B2B school club. And if you're a member of that club, you could start a room under the heading of the B2B school and it would tell everyone else in that particular club that you're running a room.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but there's only 250 people in my club. So I don't know why anyone would ever want to do that. Because it's only going to tell 250 people.
Isn't it good? Does it tell the followers too?
And it tells the followers as well too.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you can build the followers, that's a lot more interesting. And there's some clubs out there that are really big. But I think just from a brand awareness and a growth perspective, I think that you start your profile, you load it with your keywords. If you can have your handle like that, so that's your profile. Then you start your club. Once again, load it up with keywords. I don't know, invite your closest, dearest 100 people who are like, right in your space, and then let it build up as a follower so that you're ranking top for that club. And then you can do whatever you want. So there's the two little hacks that are working right now.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think there's definitely some future for the platform too. I believe they raised something like $100 million, right? Did you see that?
Yeah. And
that's insane.
They're moving fast.
Yeah.
And as well too, the way that they've set things up and if you're not a Clubhouse user, and I'll get to this when I talk about monetize, there's only one way to really get someone to click your link if you've got one in Clubhouse. And that's to send them to your profile and then send them to your Instagram link at the bottom of your profile and then have a link in your Instagram profile. Mm-hmm. So they're clearly doing something with Instagram as well too. So I mean, like, there's something going on in their head strategically where they're setting themselves up for a fairly logical target. That's what I'm thinking. But anyway, that's
I didn't
Bill.
think of that. Yeah. I would be doing that if I was Clubhouse. I'd be like, I want Facebook to buy me. Like,
yeah, exactly. And they've got a history. They bought Instagram, they bought Canva. They've got a history of doing this. So, set yourself up in such a way. And as a B2B business owner that supports B2B business owners, I was totally neglecting Instagram, not interested at all. If I had a wedding photography business, or I was like a fashion influencer or a mum blogger, I'd be all over Instagram. But if I'm selling consulting services as
Yeah.
a cybersecurity analyst. I'm not using Instagram, but now it's connected to Clubhouse. I've watched all these B2B people jumping all over Instagram because people, get to see who they are on Clubhouse. They click on the link. Anyway, I should come back to that because I try to keep things structured: build, manage, monetize.
Yeah, you guys get the gist.
Yeah, but manage. I'll hit manage really quickly. It's just about time management. Time management comes down to automate, delegate, detonate, right? That's when you look at whatever you do. If you can automate it. You can't automate Clubhouse. Delegate it. Can you delegate it? You can't delegate it really. Detonate it. So then there's that question of, should I really be doing this? And by the way, that's a method that we use for all our stuff. So some years ago, I would have detonated Instagram for all those reasons. It would have gone automate, can't really delegate, can kinda, but am I getting the returns? Is it worth it? If it's not, I'm going to detonate it.
Yep.
Automate, delegate, detonate. Well, this one here is instead of detonating it completely, managing it really comes down to being selective about when you're going to do it, and maybe setting aside maybe 90 minutes a week if you're really going to get into it. You could do that as in one hit of 90 minutes or 3 sessions of 30 minutes each. And what I would say is you've got to manage that time in at least a combination of 2 ways. And one is them having your own rooms, because that's the best way to monetize it, to have your own rooms, and then being available to be in other people's rooms. So that can mean sitting in the audience and listening and going, wow. Or it could mean me saying, hey, Arne, and grabbing 2 other people that are interested in building communities, right? So I could, grab 4 tribe builders, and together we create a room on Clubhouse on how to build your tribe. And then our collective force, bring everyone together. So if you're gonna manage it, I think that you need to set aside your time to do your own room. Even if you're like me and Johnny, that for the first time we only had 18 people in the room, it doesn't matter. Have a wingman or wingwoman that you like having a chat with. Doesn't matter if no one shows up. You can just have a chat for 30 minutes. The other is being a little bit more strategic about it. You might be able to have your weekly tribe builders, panel.
Yep.
Whatever it's going to be. And the other one is if you're still not comfortable doing either of those things yet, go into other people's rooms and raise your hand the moment that you come into the room, even before you know what anyone's talking about. Because it's often about 10, 15 minutes.
That's how I did them too. Because when I popped in at first, it's like fly on the wall and just listening. And then I was like, oh, I either can contribute or I have some questions. Let me just pop up on this panel. And, I'm by far, I don't have 1 million followers, but I got like close to 1,000 just doing that.
Yeah, exactly. And as well, too, you get to meet these other people on the panel. And you ask an intelligent question or you contribute an observation. And I did that a few times, and I popped in, just, raised my hand, popped in, I asked a question. I made an observation. I helped someone else who'd asked a question. I said, Sarah had a question a little bit earlier, and she said this. If I was in Sarah's position, I'd do that. I hope that would be helpful. And then suddenly my little icon became blue, and I'd go, oh, they've just made me a moderator. And I'd go from just being a guest to a moderator. So in terms of managing it, there'd be the 3 steps and the 3 phases. You can raise your hand. I would do one on your own with a business partner. You can just, if no one's there, you just discuss hypothetical scenarios, write them down in advance, really common things that your target audience are gonna face. And then 3, organize some panels, but you just need to be really disciplined about how often you use it, like anything else. Like I talked about my email earlier, 30 minutes twice a day. You could do 30 minutes 3 times a week. The reality is that 30 minutes is probably going to end up being an hour, but that's okay if you have the 3rd piece of the puzzle in place, which is monetize.
Yep. As long as it's worth it, right?
What's that?
As long as it's worth it.
As long as it's worth it. How are we going for time? I'm just not aware of time.
Yeah, we can wrap up in a little bit.
All right, cool. I know that in Australia it's early in the morning. It's Good Friday, so happy Easter, everyone. And where Arne is, it's Thursday afternoon. Monetize. All right, so monetize. Once again, if we're going to apply this to all the different platforms, build, manage, monetize. Build your followers, manage your time well, monetize. It really just comes down to a small number of things, but the most important thing is I got a saying, and I'm sure that you'll like this, and I'm sure that everybody listening to this will like this, and it will probably stick in heads and stay in forever. But if you want to be using any form of social media as a business development tool, you have one goal. Are you ready? If you're using social media as a business development tool, as a sales and marketing tool, you only have one goal, and it is this: get them off social media.
Yeah.
So that's it. Build the followers, manage your time, and then you need an off ramp. You need to know what strategy that you're going to be using going in to get the person off social media.
100%. Yeah, it's so funny because a lot of people know me as the Facebook groups guy. And then as soon as you either buy my book or buy one of my programs, I'm like, all right, guys, so good news and bad news. We are going to learn groups, but that's like 15% of what we actually teach here. Like, we have to have this whole ecosystem in place. So get ready, buckle up. We got a lot more to learn than groups.
It's exactly that, because most of the things we do and teach are a means to an end. And and that's clearly a good hook, and it's very transactional. And someone says, I'm interested in that one particular thing. But you know what? I mean, like, as I said, we've done workshops on everything. We did live workshops in the real world talking about Twitter about 8 years ago. People would sit in a room and we'd all set up our Twitter accounts,
Oh, yeah. I remember when people got together in rooms. It was a good time.
Yeah. I know. Remember those days. Yeah. So I just lost my train of thought. A friend of mine.
Twitter events.
I just got to say, it's a friend of mine, a client of ours, I should say, 12, 18 months ago, were doing live events in the real world, and they'd get about 2,000 people in a room.
Wow.
And it was, big, but it was still a struggle. So this is an Australian company. Australia's made up of big cities, 5 million, 5 million is Melbourne, 5 million is Sydney. So we all live in these big cities. So, 2,000 people at this big event. She had to cancel it because of COVID. It's like she'd sold all the tickets, everything, had to cancel it. Just for fun, Arne, she's relaunched now, because in Australia, we're pretty much on top of COVID now, because of being able to close borders, and it's just a big island and all the other stuff. So we're pretty much on top of it, but touch wood, fingers crossed. But however, she's launched live events. How many people do you think have signed up for the live event? And it's probably going to be the opposite of what you think. How many people do you think have signed up for her latest live event?
More.
Yeah, more. 7,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah, we're just desperate to get out. Anyway, back to monetize. We need an off ramp. So if you were doing a live event like our client, she's presenting from the stage, but she knows that at some point everybody's going to book a one-on-one session. They're going to register for a workshop so that she can introduce her $10,000 product. If Arnie's getting people excited about his Facebook groups, I join his Facebook group. I've got my own Facebook group. But the moment that someone joins my Facebook group, because I learn from people like Arnie, I know I have mechanisms that I can collect an email address, and I can bring them into my world. We're getting those people off social media. So when it comes to Clubhouse, there are a limited number of options, but from a strategic perspective, what I will say is that it's always good to have a gift, always a lead magnet. You've heard the expression before. A gift is really good. It's also good to have a diagnostic. You may have heard of quizzes. Like, I think Ryan Levesque talks about, he's got the ask method. He talks about a quiz. In the B2B space, it's a diagnostic. So no one really wants to fill out a quiz or a survey in the B2B space. But if we say we can diagnose your problems, so it's a survey that gives, right? So a diagnostic. And then number 3 is just the opportunity to book a time. So but not book a discovery session or a breakthrough call or, hey, book a time and let's explore ways that I can take your money. Give it a name like a product. So, we offer a B2B funnel mapping session, and there's a dollar figure attached to that. Most of the time, if someone comes through the funnel, or if it's someone that we like or they're pre-qualified, they'll get it for free. Mm-hmm. But however, it's not a vague invitation to catch up. It's positioned like a product.
Yeah.
So there are 3 off-ramps: a gift, a diagnostic, and a booking. So back to my conversation with Johnny, where we only had 18 people on the call. And this is what I think is the most effective strategy for Clubhouse right now. And that is, you pick a fairly definitive how-to topic. Not like, let's talk about success and what it means to you. It's like, how to build a tribe using Facebook groups. It's really, 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 really focused. So we did one called the B2B one call close formula. And it was the 9 questions to ask when having a sales call with a future customer or client. That was the topic, the one call close formula. Then we jumped on the call. There was 2 of us. So we had the host and the moderator. Sorry, is that right? No, the moderator and the guest. The host is also the moderator. Mm-hmm. You get me. One person who's, playing the Arne role, the other person playing the James role, the host and the guest. And I was the host and Johnny was my guest. And we did it for 90 minutes that first time around. And all we did is we worked through a structured process. The same way today, I'm talking about build, manage, monetize. We walked through a structured process about the one call close formula. And every 10 minutes, sometimes it was 11, sometimes it was 12, I would say, I would reset the room. I'd say, just for those who've only just joined us, we're talking about the one close call formula today. Our guest is John Inglesos, my business partner and creator of the B2B one call close formula. If you've just joined us, don't be shy about raising your hand to ask a question. We love to bring people up to the panel. We only had 18 people, so it's not hard. But most importantly, if you'd like to get your hands on the worksheet, visit my profile, Johnny's profile, scoot to the bottom where you'll find the Instagram link. And on Instagram, you can find a link to the worksheet. Now, I don't know if we're doing this now, can I show my screen? Is there a way I can show my screen? Is that possible?
Yeah, totally. Let me get you set up. All right. So you're co-host now. So if you want to share a screen, you're good to go.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So I don't think we can share, Clubhouse using a monitor where I am right now, but here we go. So so if someone comes to your Clubhouse profile, they're listening to you on Clubhouse, you can say, hey, go to my profile, check it out, scoot to the bottom of my Clubhouse profile, and you'll find a link to my Instagram page. So my Instagram is instagram.com/James Tuckerman, a fairly simple one. And check out the link in my bio. It was as simple as that. First time people do it, they have to figure out how to do it. After they've done it once, they can do it. They've figured it out. Check out the link in my bio. And that was my link in my bio. Get your awesome sauce here. Link in the bio that people click on. And there was something that looked like this, which is a link tree. Join my Facebook group, get my Clubhouse B2B authority formula, one call close formula, or book a B2B funnel mapping call. And that there was b2bschool.co/James. But that there was the off-ramp.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And it didn't need to be any more complicated than that.
So, yeah, so easy. It's like, hey, I know we chatted on here and we talked about a couple of different things. If you want any of them, come over and get them.
Yeah. It's just make sure that you're having that off-ramp. And we know with sales and marketing, you've always got to have like a call to action. There's always got to be a next step. Mm-hmm. What we did is we just made sure that we were able to introduce that step every 10 minutes. But the most important thing I believe is having the how-to headline and some structured process that you could refer the person back to. And we just did it again and again and again over 90 minutes, which means that we did it probably 7 or 8 times. And as I said, the stats, once again, that first time it was 18 people, 7 leads. So 7 people opted in to get the worksheet. 4 people went so far as to book a call, because the script changed as we went through. People were up on stage and we'd say, hey, I think that you should book a call. I'd say, I think you should book a call with John. You know, people's asked a question, you can do that. And then, yeah, so we had 18 people, 7 leads, 4 bookings. And then one of them, you know, 1 in 4, which is a fairly typical scenario in most sales funnels, converted into a bigger ticket client.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, super straightforward too. I like how you guys kind of manage that, of having like a set agenda of, hey, here's what we're going through it, and you can come up and ask questions too, because a lot of times, like the kind of like the no strategy that people have on Clubhouse that I've seen is, hey, I'm in a room, come ask me questions, and there's no format, there's no formula. Might not even be following up with people like that. So yeah, totally makes sense. Love it. So for everybody else out there watching, let me know what you guys took away from this so far, because definitely some solid tips on Clubhouse, making sure you make the most of it if you decide to use it, and apply that same thing to anywhere else you go online. So love it, man. As we get towards wrapping up here a little bit, wanted to hear from you. We always try and figure out like what's one unique thing that our guests do in their marketing or sales that's like, oh, I'm so glad I do this. Is one of my secret sauce, or one of the things they share with my clients they love so much. Like what would that one big thing be for you guys?
Oh, that's a tough one, isn't it? Particularly when you've been doing things for such a long time. I mean, like, I love my systems. We have a saying, systems equal sanity. And what I do see is most people just diving into things and they're bouncing left, right, and center, and it takes them 10 times as long to do anything. We love our systems. Build, manage, monetize is one of those systems. Automate, delegate, detonate is another one of those systems. But one of a piece of secret sauce, and I think that this is important that we have when people come into our world, is we often help them identify what might be their thing or what might be their system. So sometimes people come into our world and, for one, they don't have a clear target audience. We see that again and again. They think that they have a clear target audience. They say it's singles and couples aged between 25 and 65 that don't believe they are managing their finance as well as they could. And that was a real guy, Josh. And I said, what you just described is the working population minus swingers. All right. He said singles and couples, right? There you go. But if you've got one person, here's another formula: one person, one problem, one product. If you've got that one person, you can go, what's their problem? Here's the person, what's their problem? If you can speak to their problem, suddenly you're going to have their attention.
Then but dang it, James, it's too simple. It can't be that easy.
One person, one problem.
I want complicated. Yeah, I want some giant confusing thing. How, man? But no, for real, that's so funny, because we boil it back down to it. That is the unique secret sauce. Hey, guess what? Make it more simple.
Make it more simple. Thank you very much. Well, you're giving me my secret sauce. I was overcomplicating it. But yeah, I think that what we do is we help our clients see what might be their own formula or their own signature method, or what they need to be focusing on. And the wild thing about it is you see people come in and you go, what do you do? And they go, I'm a copywriter. How much are you getting paid? This much. 3 months later, it's like, what do you do? It's I help course creators launch courses. How much are you getting paid? This much, you know, and we just see it again and again and again. So yeah, secret sauce. I'm gonna pull it down to that one formula: one person, one problem, one product. Thank you for giving me some clarity, forcing some clarity on me.
Yeah, good stuff. Love it. Hope everybody else out there listening understands the power of simplicity here. It's funny. So a lot of times, you know, we bring on awesome guests like you, and you know, we talk about their stories, and we talk about some strategies. And at the end of the day, some of the biggest takeaways are some mindset stuff. You know, hey, maybe we should just simplify things. Hey, maybe we should just focus on connecting with people. Hey, you know, like it's all part of the game, guys. So pay attention for sure. So just want to give you a huge thank you for coming on, man, sharing what you got going. And for people that want to connect and learn more and hear about, some of the other things, you guys have a ton of stuff going on. You guys have an incredible software. You guys have incredible training, summit coming up. Like where should we send them?
Well, I've just in the Facebook thing, I've just sent my Linktree link because it was on my screen, so it was easy.
Perfect.
But yeah, I didn't mention that we've got a software called B2B-io. Please check that out. It's called B2B Dash because it's the ultimate dashboard for B2B business owners, but it's also an accelerator. You get to Dash. It's got, all the tools that you would need as a B2B business owner, such as it's got its pipeline builder, it's got its sales manager, it's got its client manager. You can book meetings, where
Nice.
people put in the details. You can send follow-up emails. You can collect the lead. You can build a diagnostic. I just talked about the importance of a diagnostic in B2B. You can use it to build a diagnostic all in the one place. Put all these different things together in a sequence, and you're not using 27 different tools joined together
Awesome.
using sticky tape and string. The other one, B2B, the B2B summit that we've got going on. It's B2B Sales and Marketing Summit. But you know what? I reckon if you click on that link, guys and gals, b2bschool.co/James, grab onto something, and then you just be part of our world, and we can introduce you to these bigger, better, interesting stuff over the longer term.
Love it.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, and I see we had some people engaging too, saying, love this. Yes, I need systems. Yeah, we need to learn Clubhouse. Just talking about Clubhouse, all this stuff. So cool. Glad you guys got some value out of it. And if you guys are, listening on the podcast or YouTube later, make sure you guys come on over to Facebook Community and Conversions group as well. Hang with us there. We do host these live. If you're on live right now, hello. If you're on the replay, hello. And just grateful for you coming on, spend your time with us, man. I know it's early in the morning for you. You could be sleeping right now, and you're here hanging with us. So everybody, make sure you guys say thank you to James, and go check out his Linktree, see what else he's got for you guys. All right, guys, until next time.
Thanks, everyone.